Hi everyone. Welcome back to a new episode. A little bit different today just because I guess I'm not used to streaming on Saturdays. Um, but today we are going to be recapping and reviewing 100 Days to Indy Season 2, Episode 1. Um, I was initially really excited to do this because I really liked last year when I did it. I had a fun time with it. Um, because of things that obviously have gone on and are going on currently, I'm not the most excited. But we're doing it anyway. Um, yeah. So I will say immediately just the one thing that I'm not super excited about is when they did season one, it would air on Thursday nights, and I could just you know, early Friday stream, but now obviously it airs on Friday nights, and here we are. Um, but if you want to watch it, is on the CW and the CW app. If you watch on the app, it comes out the next morning. I'm also like in kind of a bad mood. Like I don't even know what it is, but it's just not the vibe today. I don't know. Maybe it'll get better as we go along. Um, yeah. So where are my notes? Oh, they're there. Um, just make sure I mute my phone this time. Okay. So I guess let's just get right into it. Title of this episode is Show Me the Money. And in this episode, they talk a lot. I would say maybe the first half, roughly, is about last year's Indy 500. So it starts with Marcus Ericsson talking about how he felt like he had the 501, and he acknowledges that this is both sports and entertainment, but he feels like the way things were handled, it like blurred the line, and it still, like frustrates him when he thinks about it, which is super fair. I don't think anybody would argue that it was a very strange end of the race. Um, then there's like a little montage of just kind of every driver saying that they have like the best car and like, the car to win this. I do think that there is a potential just because we've seen, you know, each year as we go along, so many improvements that there's always a chance for every year to be the best race we've ever seen. So we'll see. Maybe they're right. Um, then it transitions into a section showing Joseph Newgarden at home with his wife Ashley and their son. And she says, like, for her, when he crossed the finish line, it was like the biggest like sense of relief just because he's had so many prior years of like heartbreak and upset. Um, he then says that he completely understands why Erickson would be pissed off, and like, totally get it. Everyone's kind of been on the other side of a close race before. But he also says that they had a right to try and win, and he feels like they won in a legitimate way, which I think for that circumstance is we can say that. That's fine. We can say that. an asterisk on everything else after that. But for that, I think we can say it. Let's see. Then it kind of goes to Kevin Lee, who says if there was one word for last year's race, that it would be controversial. And you know what? Yeah. Hold on. Change my word. Ooh, that's the wrong button. Is Nightbot broken? I feel like Nightbot's broken today. No, no. There's no, we're not talking politics in the stream, despite the giant American flag behind me. We don't do that here. Okay. So Nightbot, I think, is broken today. He's taking a vacation because it's Saturday. So where was I? Oh yeah, Kevin Lee, controversial. Then there's like a little montage of like drivers and people saying things. Dixie says even though he's been racing here and doing the 500 for over 20 years, that he's never seen a finish like that. Christian Lundgaard says he understands that IndyCar wanted to finish under green, but he doesn't think that this was the right way to go about it. I have many pages of notes. um, so Kevin Lee and Alex Flo both kind of said that Joseph did do everything that he could to win. So you give him that. That's fair. He did everything. But Flo says if he was Ericsson, then he would be very mad. I think for me, the person who had the most controversial opinion about this is Christian Lundgaard, because he said, again, at the end, in his opinion, Ericsson was the winner. So, I mean, take with that what you will. Let's see. So then we have like, a big, how they do the show with like big sections on people. So Ericsson then gets his section, and he says that if they hadn't, changed the rule and done something that they've never done in, 100 plus years, that he believes that he would have won. And he, would have. Probably, like, you know, if it would have ended under yellow, he would have won. He says then that the end of the season kind of just was a disappointment. They didn't really do much. And, it's not obviously what he hoped for. He then said that, and we saw it, Ganassi didn't like immediately extend a contract. But by the time they did, he said it was a good offer, but he had already kind of set his mind on leaving and set his mind on Andretti. But he did say that he wouldn't have left if he didn't believe that they could challenge, um, like Ganassi and Penske in the 500 and go after the big teams. Um, but I think that is important. People think that oftentimes when a driver leaves or makes a big move. Okay, apparently I'm dying. um, People sometimes think when drivers leave or make a big move that it's solely like money based, but that's not always the case. There's a lot of things, and I mean, I wouldn't go anywhere if I didn't think that I could beat the team I was with. So he obviously liked what he saw with Andretti and, what they have going on over there. Which, also fair. Um, I always think it's interesting to hear the perspective of like the wives and the girlfriends because they see it so much closer than we do. Um, and his wife, they actually did this like cute little section with them like in their new house, which is totally adorable. It's seems like it's totally their vibe too. Um, and she says that it was really hard on him and production was like, oh, you think he's over it now? And she's like, well, I don't really think that, it's something you ever really get over. And she's not wrong. If you look through any past history of the 500, anything kind of controversial, Paul Tracy, for example, I don't think anyone's over that one. But I think it's always an interesting perspective. He did say that he now more than ever is more focused to win and he wants to win the 500 just that much more. Um, we then had another New Garden section that showed him, it showed like the other side of winning the 500, which he said is the hardest part of winning is being pulled in all these different directions. Um, and it is like a crazy couple of weeks afterwards with all the media. It showed him going to New York for the stock exchange, with the opening bell. And he did say, though, that people think, or like you would think that, once you win, it kind of would like satisfy that desire. Like, okay, cool, I won the 500. Like, check it off the bucket list. But he said winning it only makes you want to win it more. And I think that, that is exactly fair. I don't think there's anyone who's ever won one of something and it's like, okay, I'm good. Elio's going for his fifth. Like the drive for five is very much alive and well, and you don't do that unless you really want it. It's not just like, oh, do it for fun. Like, no, like you want it. So I think that's a very fair point that the desire never goes away. And if anything, it gets stronger. Um, so production did ask him about his contract, which is up at the end of this year, but he did the New Garden thing and did not speak on it. He's always kind of been that way. He doesn't talk about contracts. It's not like a thing that's up for public discussion. So, I think especially with everything that's happening currently, um, that'll be a really interesting thing at the end of the year. I would recommend keeping an eye on that. So in the second half of this episode, it's when it switched over to St. Pete. Um, Michael Andretti said he hasn't felt this good in a really long time. Like he feels really happy with the team and where they're going. And always a good thing. Um, I had something for that, but I don't really know where I was going. Can I blame the weather for this too? Like the weather sucks today. Cold, raining, like ugh. Okay, I have a question. There's a guy. They showed him multiple times throughout the St. Pete section of the show. He has Joseph Newgarden's car number and he has like the two and then he has his freaking like logo tattooed on his arm. I think his name is Greg. Has anyone checked on him since the scandal broke? Like, is Greg okay? because he was real into it. And Newgarden seems to know him. Like, he knows who Greg is, so someone maybe check on Greg. Um, okay, this really, really made me laugh. So they went in the Errol McLaren trailer, and Pato was in there, Rossi was in there, and Calamilo was in there. And Pato was talking about how, like, they were like getting dressed, like getting ready. And Pato was talking about how they were talking about how they were all trying to figure out like what percentage of like them or like their body weight just straight up just comes from their ass. Like they were comparing ass size, which is just the funniest thing to me. Like just guys being dudes. And then Callum's over there just like, yeah, sorry, I don't have that. He's a skinny boy. It just really was like the most random thing they could have like input in the show, but I'm like, you know what? Here for it. It's just the funny human side. It's just like I said, it's guys being dudes, people being people. It's so stupid. um, let's see. So they did a qualifying section. They showed Scott McLaughlin not being happy with P9 and the car, and then they had a little bit of like a fast six section. So Ericsson ended up P6, and then Grosjean P5, Herta P4, Pato P2, Felix Rosenquist, no, Pato P3. I know how to read. Um, Rosenquist P2, and then obviously Joseph Newgarden P1 on the pole. Okay, then we go into race day. And I don't want to like, I've been very, here's the thing. I've been making content a little bit about the scandal, and I have tried to be very careful in keeping my own opinions out of it. Um, knowing just like what's out there and having watched Newgarden's little sit down with the press yesterday with the media, when they every time they showed Tim Cindric, I was just like, like, I don't like this. Um, I, I mean, they showed him a couple times, and I was just like, no, like, I don't. It's just I even when even when everything kind of like broke on Wednesday, and Tim Cindric put his statement out, I didn't like the vibe of it. Like before we knew anything really, I just I wasn't feeling it. But it just I don't know. I'm not gonna say. Not really gonna. I don't know. It probably makes it worse, but I can't spend all this time just like saying I think this and I think that and I'm being mad about it because I mean I'm not really mad about it. I'm just like, oh god. Um, I don't know. Anyway, um, I feel like my brain shut off for a second. um, right, race day. So, oh yeah, there was that caution for Armstrong on lap 23. Pit stops. Newgarden had a slow fill and then narrowly avoided a pit lane collision, but he did lose P1 at the time. He almost immediately got it back. Went after Rosenquist. and then Ericsson had to pit due to an engine issue, and that put him out of the race. Obviously, the win for Newgarden means diddly do now because of what happened. It was really weird to have to like see it again, knowing everything. Um, but yeah, and I almost feel like I was maybe over analyzing things when I was watching. Um, but besides that, beyond that, Pato said he was happy with the start to his year. Says he thinks it's going to be a really tight year. Um, and the podium for that one was obviously Newgarden, Pato, and then Scotty Mac, which also doesn't really matter. There was one thing that he said that I really didn't like. Oh, I got something in my eye. Oh, my eyelashes are turning against me today. You haven't guessed. Hot Mess Express, population me today. But there was one thing that Newgarden said that I did not like. And he said, I think probably regardless of whether everything had happened or not, I would have been like, mm. He said, he's like, oh, I almost don't want to say this, but this felt easy today. Mm, did it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Not great. Um, yeah. So that's episode one. It's just okay. I don't like that they didn't put any like sort of like notes about it at the end. There was no little like post editing like oh this happened or whatever. But I also don't know how they are planning on like covering it and showing it on the show because this, obviously is happening right now. So I wonder what's going to happen. There's no way that Roger can block them from showing it. The entire world already knows that it happened. Um, but yeah, I think because like I said, I did watch Newgarden's sit down with the media yesterday. I don't think the unfortunate part about this is I don't think there's a world in which he gains back maybe like the trust or the respect of most of his competitors. Um, Pato was pretty pissed. Herta was pretty pissed. Graham Rahal was not happy. Um, those are just like the ones that I saw. I don't know about everyone else, but it's it's not it. Um, I've obviously seen some fan reaction as well. Um, I've seen some big divide. There are some fans who were like, yeah, that's not great, but hey, you apologize. You're taking ownership. Like, good for you. Like, then there's other people who I feel like take it really personally and are like upset that their kids have met these people and their kids look up to these people. Um, or they themselves look up to these people, or, that kind of thing. Then there's like the rogue F1 fans, and I'm like, this is not the time or the place. And I don't really think that y'all can say much. Um, I think I did, I covered some of those comments in my most recent YouTube short. There's some interesting ones in there. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I think the, I mean, I don't know. I think it's tremendously bad timing because the 500 is coming up quick. I mean, today's April 27th. Like, we're basically a month out from the 500. This is not the attention that you want. This is not the story that you want right now. I did see when I was getting ready for the show that it appeared that all the team owners and stuff were going to meet with Roger in his RV. So I don't know if we'll hear anything about that. But it was happening. I know, at least based off of what Newgarden said, that Roger was quite unhappy when he found out. Um, I mean, take everything with a grain of salt, I feel like, because we only know what people like, we only know like what he's saying. Like, Roger hasn't spoken about it, so he probably was unhappy. I think anyone would be, but it's just one of those things, like, take in all the information, but understand that we don't know every single side and every single feeling. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't I don't think that he's gonna win back the fan base in the way that he had them before. Um, it's gonna be a tough one. I think this is going to be kind of an ongoing thing this year, at least based on yesterday when he spun in practice, and all of the comments I saw were like, oh, now he doesn't know how to drive. Oh, you shouldn't have pressed the button. Oh, you should have pressed the button. So it's I was like, ooh, good luck with that for the rest of the year. Yeah, it's not one of those things that just goes away. It's not like two guys crashing into each other and being like, "Meh, meh, 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 meh." No, it doesn't go away in 10 minutes. It doesn't go away in an hour. Um, I guess you guys can let me know your thoughts and feelings, and yeah, just, I don't know. It's a weird time. I feel like it's a weird time for a lot of things. There was a lot of stuff going on this morning before I even started getting ready for this, um, going on in the NHRA, and with like weird rule stuff. I feel like these things come in bunches. So it's like there'll be nothing, and then there's like all this stuff's happening here, all this stuff's happening here. I'm just like, oh my God. It's a lot. Um, but yeah, I guess kind of let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling, and how you think they move forward for the rest of the year. Because we still got a lot of races left. Um, but yeah, know. um, as always, we appreciate you guys so much for watching and for hanging out with us and being part of our little internet community. Um, this is going up on YouTube today, actually. Um, I have to make a thumbnail and then this will be up same day. So, hi YouTube. Um, but yeah, we keep trucking. Next week, I assume, um, episode 2 recap, and hopefully things will be lighter and we'll all be in better mood. But yeah, have a great rest of your Saturday. Have a great rest of your weekend. There is quite a bit of racing on this weekend, so I'd love to know what you're watching, and I will see you next time.